I think TikTok is currently exposing something really important, and we're actually not talking.
The values that you are identifying and applying to some sort of global scheme do actually exist in America, but you don't see them because they are not profitable. For example, this is a book called The Last Samurai by Helen DeWitt. And it's one of the best works of American fiction published in the last 30 years. Well, if that's the case, why don't you know about it? Well, it's because Helen DeWitt espouses values pertaining to knowledge, pertaining to autodidacticism, pertaining to the love of curiosity. And among a certain sub-niche here in America that shares those values, this book is extraordinarily resonant, extraordinarily popular, extraordinarily revered. But Helen DeWitt, who I believe to be a genius, has been chased away from American publisher. She doesn't even live in America anymore. A small publisher by the name of New Directions is the only one publishing her work, but she has a strong enough set of values that is shared by a minority group, by a group of Americans who are very much into knowledge, literature, not necessarily into money. Before the internet, books were really the only way that you could find these common voices, these voices who shared your particular value, these values that were not part of the boorish mainstream. The values that you were identifying. When the internet emerged, suddenly we could find our fellow kind. And when TikTok emerged, it really became very easy to find our fellow kind. That's what TikTok does very well. Its algorithm is magic. Please don't assume that everyone in America shares the same value. I mean, we learned that with the last election, didn't we? The American nation is such a gigantic country that even we here in America couldn't fathom the idea of Kamala Harris filling every single hall she spoke in, losing that election. We became so accustomed to our values being reinforced by members of our tribe that we lost sight of the fact that America is a ginormous country. And when Donald Trump won on that cold November night, it was a tremendous shock for many of us to understand that a lot of Americans didn't share our value, that they were driven by nihilism, that for all our talk of individualism, they became a great Borg collective. So if you're detecting a shift, it's really those of us who still very much enjoy being part of our tribe, espousing the values that we hold dear, and seeing those values, previously sacrosanct, now under significant threat by authoritarianism. People like me have essentially become exiles within our own nation. We don't have a big enough audience to lay out a welcome mat, but we have enough of an audience to recognize the secret knock at the door of people who share our values. But yeah, it does feel very lonely. To be quite honest, I have found myself retreating more to my own happy life because the uniformity right now in America is very high pressure. I've worked many years to discover who I am and what kind of values I possess. And when I impart those values here, I do find that a certain sub-niche is responsive to that. But now they're taking that away because TikTok is likely to be gone in America on April 5th. What TikTok is exposing is that many of us don't have anywhere else to go. We're going to be increasingly pushed into the underground. And you in other countries are not going to see the full scope of America with all of its beautiful sub-niches, all of its communities, all of its group. Why do you think they're trying to attack trans people right now? That's just the beginning. America had a long history of building up all these sub-niches which you really didn't see. And now you are definitely not going to see them if things carry on like this.